Good morning. I'm retired Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. I represent an organization today called Special Operations Speaks. We are retired Special Operations officers and non-commissioned officers who spent our military careers preparing for and executing operations to rescue Americans, or at least to bring their bodies home with dignity. Let me say that this is a sad day in America as we remember the 3,000 lives that were lost 13 years ago or 12 years ago today. And we do remember them. But our primary purpose today is to remember those 4 men that were killed a year ago today, as former Congressman Allen West said. Sean Smith was one of those people. Sean was born in San Diego, California on June 1st, 1978, and he died on September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi, Libya. He was only 34 years old. He died in service to his country because indeed, as Colonel West said, he took an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We in Special Operations Speaks believe that that oath has no expiration date, and those of us who have taken it are obliged to continue to serve. Sean was in the Air Force from 1995 to 2002 and left as a staff sergeant, and then went into foreign service in 2002 until his death in 2012. On the 8th of March, 1864, William Tecumseh Sherman wrote a letter to Ulysses S. Grant. In that letter, as he had just finished the campaign in Tennessee and had moved into Georgia, he said to Grant, "I knew wherever I was that you thought of me, and that if I got in a tight spot, you would come." You know, that's the articulation of a national value, a national ethos. That ethos is also encapsulated in what we call in the military the Ranger Creed, which says, "I'll never leave a fallen comrade to fall into the hands of the enemy." Ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what we did on September 11th, 2012. We left fallen comrades behind, and that's a national disgrace. And it's one that there has to be accountability for. All of us here today have urged repeatedly that members of Congress sign on to House Resolution 36, sponsored and offered into legislation by our congressman here from Virginia, Frank Wolf, calling for, as Frank Gaffney said, a bipartisan commission with subpoena power that will bring in not only the survivors, but it will bring in the key military people to tell us why there was no effort to rescue these people, or if we couldn't get there in time, to at least bring their bodies home with dignity by their fellow comrades, by their fellow warriors. Thus far, we have not seen any true accountability on this issue. As Frank said, we know that there have been a series of lies, there have been a cover-up, and there have been major efforts not to let the American public know what actually happened in Benghazi. It is time, a year later, it is time to recognize that the current committee system is not going to reach the right conclusions. It's not going to get to the bottom of this. It's not going to get the answers that the American public is entitled to, but more importantly, that the families of these 4 men are entitled to, who have never been given the full account of what occurred at that embassy, that consulate, whatever you choose to call it, in Benghazi on the night of September 11th, 2012. It is time. And I encourage Americans all across the country to let your representative know that you want them to push for accountability, to have hearings that will bring in the right people, hearings that can be convened as a result of support for House Resolution 36. We need to bring this bipartisan commission together. And finally, we remember a great ambassador today named Ambassador Christopher Stevens. He was born in Grass Valley, California on the 18th of April, 1960, and he died in Benghazi, Libya on September 11th, 2012. He was a career Foreign Service officer who served from 1991 until his death on September 11th, 2012. He was the actual ambassador to Libya from June to September of 2012, although he had been in and served in Libya prior to that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a hot day. We're standing out in the sun, but we feel strongly that there has to be accountability.
Louis on his way.
Okay. There has to be accountability on this.